angel? Oh. Well, if you're an angel, then I have just the 3-ingredient recipe. Come down here and we'll make it. Oh, honey, are you okay? Look at you with your little angel wings. So, yeah, so you're being a little angel. Well, I have just the thing if you're going to be a little angel. We're going to make something called cloud bread. Cloud bread. Yeah, so cloud bread is a bread substitute that people who can't or don't want to eat carbohydrates or have celiac disease, you know, where, yeah, if you're going gluten-free, if you can't, right, if you can't, no gluten, right, so if you can't have bread, so you want to avoid, yep, or if you're on something called Paleo or Paleo. Yeah, there are people, yep, they eat high protein stuff. They don't eat any grains or anything. Yeah, so that's also good for this type of thing. It's a bread substitute. It doesn't taste like bread, but it can be used in the same way as, say, rolls, or you could put a burger on it or make a sandwich out of it. Yeah, exactly. And it tastes just like clouds. So why don't we see the 3 ingredients for this? Our first ingredient is right, eggs. Yep. Exactly. We are going to use 3 large eggs, and we're gonna and they're gonna. That's 3. And those are going to be separated before we start cooking with them. Our second ingredient is cream cheese. Yep, we are going to use 2 ounces, which is about 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. Now you can use fat-free cream cheese if you want to. This one is just regular, nope. This is just regular cream cheese. Usually people who are going paleo don't really try to use the fat-free stuff, but if you are making this cloud bread to be gluten-free, you may want to lower the fat content since the eggs have some fat in it. We're going to use, like I said, 2 ounces or 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. And our final ingredient is cream of tartar. Cream of tartar? Cream of tartar is a little substance that you put into eggs when you are whipping them, especially egg whites if you're making meringues. Yep, so that the eggs stay nice and firm and nice and fluffy and they don't collapse.
Fluff, fluff, fluff.
Exactly, and if you're as fluffy as that, then you want to keep your eggs as fluffy as that. You ready to cook? Okay, let's see how to make these. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to separate my eggs. I'll put the whites into my mixing bowl, and then I'll put the yolks into another bowl to reserve for the other part of this recipe. Make sure when you are making this meringue in your mixer that you get no yolk into your egg whites. The fat from the yolk is going to interfere with making the meringue that you need, so just try to be as careful as possible. To my egg whites in my mixing bowl, I'm just going to add 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. This just helps the egg whites mix up. And now I'm just going to whip these egg whites until they turn to stiff peaks and become a nice fluffy meringue. Okay, once you've reached the stiff peaks stage, you can tell because these are holding together really nicely. I'm just going to set this aside and we will work with our other 2 ingredients. I'm going to need 2 ounces of my softened cream cheese. Because my cream cheese comes in a brick like this, and this is 8 ounces, I can just measure half and then measure half again. I don't have to cut that. So half is about here, half from there is about here, and then I can just cut it down like this. If your cream cheese doesn't come in bricks like this, or you're using a different type of cream cheese, you can just measure out about 2 tablespoons. That'll be about 2 ounces as well. Make sure that your cream cheese is nice and softened. If you don't have it at room temperature, if it's not soft, it's not going to mix in very well, and you'll get a lumpy mixture, and it won't really bake up the way you want it to. Alright, so I'm going to just use a whisk, and I am going to mix the egg yolks that I reserved from when I separated my eggs and my cream cheese together. Okay, and once you have the egg yolks and your cream cheese mixed together, it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of elbow grease. If you want to use your mixing, your electric mixer or a small handheld mixer, that will work just as well. But a few minutes with your whisk should get this to a nice creamy consistency, a little bit fluffy. And now we're ready to add it into our egg whites. Now I have my egg whites right here. The egg yolk mixture isn't a whole lot, so I'm going to add that all in together, right into the bowl. And just scrape out my bowl here with the spatula. Now what we're going to do is a process called folding, and all that is you go around the edges and through the middle of your mixture, and what you're doing is you're mixing it, but trying not to lose all the air that got whipped into your egg whites. Your mixture at the bottom of your bowl should be one consistent color, and you should have as much volume, as much air still in here because you folded it gently. Once you've reached a smooth consistency, just stop. Don't mix it anymore. You don't want to lose any air. And now we're going to prep them for baking. I have just a regular cookie sheet that I have lined with non-stick aluminum foil. You can also use parchment paper, or you can just spray down a cookie sheet with some cooking spray. I like the non-stick aluminum foil quite a bit. I'm going to use a large spoon and make basically hamburger bun sized piles of the dough. Now you could pipe this out, you could throw this into a piping bag and pipe this out so that they're all perfect. I'm not looking for perfection here. Make sure, no matter what size you choose, that these are a consistent size. I've made 6. That's good for if we were making 3 sandwiches, that would be fine. You could also divide this into 8. 8 is about as many as you can get out of this recipe, but all it takes is more eggs and more cream cheese to make a larger amount. This is going to go into a 300 Fahrenheit degree oven for about 20 to 30 minutes. You have to watch it really carefully. Each oven is different. As soon as they start to turn nice and brown on top, you'll want to take these out. They can burn really quickly because they're very, very light. All right, these are just out of the oven. You can see that they are nice and brown on top, and then underneath, if I can lift one up without burning my hand, it's nice and golden brown on the bottom. This bottom being nice and flat is perfect for making sandwiches or making burgers because you can add your toppings right to this flat part and it acts just like bread. Now transfer these to a rack to cool, just so that they get nice and firm. You want this to mimic bread, so you don't want it to be too soft, and because it's so light, if you let it cool on the baking sheet, it might get a little bit soggy, and we don't want soggy buns. So we're gonna let these cool completely, and then we'll see how Dog likes them. So what do you think? Yeah, these are very light, very fluffy. Like I said before, these don't taste like bread at all. They, nope. They're almost like a little souffle. But for the most part, they don't taste like very much at all. But they do work just as well as bread if you were going to put some butter on them. You could put the 2 burgers, or put a burger between 2 pieces of cloud bread. They don't have a lot of calories. They're not going to add any gluten to your diet. Nope. It's low carb, so if you're keeping a low carb lifestyle, and they're pretty tasty all on their own. Yeah, so if you want to try something with without bread, but you need something to hold your sandwich, or you want something on the side of your meal, why not give cloud bread a try? Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining me, Dog. Well, I know you weren't on George's show. No, last week we just had Mama George. Yep. So, yeah. Yep. So you are normally on George the Self-Esteem Cat, which is another series on here. And then we also have Sullivan. He's another dog. So what can people do if they want to keep up with all of the videos on this channel? Subscribe. Exactly. Yep. So if you subscribe to this channel, you will be updated every time we make a new video. And if you hit the little bell, ding, ding, Yep. You will be notified every time we release a new video. What else can people do if they want to help out this channel?
There's a muff.
You can comment down below. Leave us a comment. Let us know what types of recipes you'd like to see next. You can also share these videos on social media. If you share it on Twitter or Facebook, helps us a whole lot. And we would love to hear what kind of recipes you'd like us to do next time. Doug, what kind of recipe would you like us to do next time? Hi! Devil's food? Well, that sounds great. So next time we may try to figure out how to make some devil's food for our devil dog here. Thanks. Thanks so much for joining us this time. I will see you again next time. Bye-bye. Our first ingredient is... Well, egg. Let's do that again. Sorry, you just got me there. Okay.